Break Fire 3170. Could you guys grab some blankets for all these people out here?
Oh, okay.
Break Fire 3170. Could you guys grab some blankets for all these people out here?
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone, it's Ruby G.
And I'm Joff.
Welcome to Truth and Neurons. A police officer who was interviewing Dylan Mortensen at the time called out on the radio asking for blankets. Dylan, one of the two surviving roommates, had reported seeing and hearing disturbing events during the night, including a masked intruder in the home. When she heard the radio call for blankets, she seemed to interpret this as a personal request directed at her. She turned towards the house where the 4 deceased individuals were located and began walking in that direction, saying, "Inside? Oh." Someone nearby corrected her, and she immediately stopped and followed their guidance instead. In isolation, this sequence could be interpreted through multiple frameworks. A normal trauma explanation would emphasize cognitive narrowing under stress, leading to misinterpretation of context, automatic activation of helping behavior as a means of restoring agency, and the verbalization pattern as representing a moment of cognitive collusion between behavioral impulse and the dawning recognition of inappropriateness. The dissociative framework would suggest that different levels of awareness were not fully integrated, with procedural compliance impulses initiating before higher order danger recognition could inhibit them. The witness's immediate acceptance of correction would represent adaptive dependency on external guidance when internal decision-making feels unreliable. However, when viewed within the context of continuous phone activity demonstrating preserved cognitive function, alternative interpretations gain traction. The readiness to enter the house might represent conditioned obedience, an automatic response to directive language learned under duress, where compliance with commands has become a primary survival strategy.
Fire 3170. Could you guys grab some blankets for all these people out here?
Oh, okay.
These words could indicate the activation of a previously established task schema related to activities in that house, followed by conflict when the current social context does not match their conditioning context. The rapid compliance with correction might demonstrate not simple suggestibility but strategic behavioural flexibility, quickly reading the new authority structure and adjusting to minimise attention or scrutiny. If the witness had been in the house during post-crime activities under coercion or with knowledge requiring concealment, the house might represent not simply a danger zone, but a locus of unfinished obligation or suppressed memory. The broader context of this investigation, described as a witness being very interested in giving the narrative to the point of excluding other individuals, also requires re-examination. Within a pure trauma framework, this represents meaning-making through narrative, construction, and external or internal experience. However, given the phone activity evidence and the false claim about sleeping, this behaviour may instead represent narrative control, serving defensive purposes. By providing extensive detail in certain areas and establishing the framework for understanding events, the witness shapes what questions get asked and directs attention toward or away from particular time periods or activities. The time fixation of 4 a.m. as a bright line boundary, nothing weird at all, nothing suspicious until 4 a.m., contrasting with moments of emotional fragility, suggests this particular element has been mentally or verbally rehearsed to the point of consolidation.
Everything was fine, nothing weird at all, nothing suspicious until 4 a.m.
Okay.
Whether the rehearsal serves to organise fragmented trauma memory or to establish a strategic time boundary protecting earlier activities remains the central interpretive question.
The documented pattern of rapid emotional shifts, moving from quiet, anxious, strained vocal quality when asked about absent roommates, to immediate calm when providing factual details like spelling names,
The 2 additional roommates that aren't here right now,
They're not.
that aren't here with you,
Yeah.
what are their names?
Maddie Mogen, MADDIEMOGEN.
Within trauma psychology, this affective oscillation is well documented and reflects movement between hyper-arousal and hypo-arousal states as individuals cycle outside of their window of tolerance. The emotional break when confronting roommates' absence would represent a moment when reality penetrates defensive barriers, while rapid reconstitution through procedural task completion provides temporary refuge from emotional overwhelm. This neurobiological explanation emphasizes the involuntary nature of these shifts, viewing them as the visible surface of competing neural processes where limbic activation and prefrontal regulation vie for dominance. However, the preserved cognitive function demonstrated by phone activity complicates this interpretation. If the witness possessed sufficient executive function to engage in sustained job searching and appropriate social media behaviour, she also possessed the cognitive resources for more sustained emotional regulation. The rapid oscillation might therefore represent not involuntary neurobiological state shifting, but rather voluntary affect management, that is, the ability to quickly suppress emotional reactions that might invite unwanted questions or attention. Individuals subjected to coercive control often develop sophisticated emotional regulation skills as a survival mechanism, learning to mask responses that might anger, alert, or otherwise draw scrutiny from controllers. The pattern of emotional breaks occurring specifically around references to the victims, followed by rapid recovery when the topic shifts to neutral, factual details, could reflect genuine grief punctuated by practiced composure, or alternately, momentary guilt or fear related to forbidden knowledge that must quickly be suppressed.
Sorry, I don't remember.
It's okay. You're doing great. Okay. I'm asking a lot of you, so I appreciate you. You're doing very well.
Do you know if the other 2 girls are upstairs or not?
Right now, what we got to do is we got to process this whole thing.
That makes sense.
I don't know what I'd be permitted to tell you
That's fine.
right
That's
now. Okay.
fine. I understand.
Okay, let's go back. I just want to make sure we're getting everything.
The dismissive hand gesture when told that officers cannot share information, described as brushing away like it's nothing, accompanied by verbal acceptance, "That's fine, I totally understand," adds another layer. From a trauma perspective, this represents adaptive dependency, an attempt at somatic self-regulation, physically gesturing away distress while verbally maintaining positive connection with authority figures. From an alternative perspective, this could represent relief that deeper probing will not occur, with the physical gesture manifesting the psychological need to move past topics that carry risk. The immediate acceptance of information restriction without protests, frustration, or sustained inquiry about whether roommates are alive or dead is noteworthy, to say the least. While trauma can produce emotional numbing and passive acceptance, it typically coexists with intrusive anxiety about the welfare of loved ones. The apparent ease with which the witness relinquishes her inquiry and accepts non-answers might suggest either profound dissociation or the absence of genuine uncertainty about the roommate's status, knowing already what she purports to be asking about.
Pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone was in the room and she ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And I saw the guy. I just walked the door and I ran downstairs. We don't know what's going on. I heard her scream and she ran downstairs because she saw someone. That's what I'm pretty sure she said. Someone's here, and she screamed and just ran downstairs. And I called for her name, but I jumped up and locked my door because I was so scared. And then I heard someone in the bathroom, and I heard her crying, and I heard some guy say that you're gonna be okay, I'm gonna help you. And I kept calling her name, but she wasn't answering. And then I opened the door for a second, and I saw this guy, and he was not insanely tall, but he was wearing all black and like this mask that was just covering his forehead and his mouth.
Well, good In town, we've got a quadruple homicide.
That's all for today's episode of Truth and Neurons. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on the ethics of media commentary in high-profile cases. Until next time, keep thinking critically and questioning everything. Cheers, bye.